Alright, I'm just going to go back to top view. And we're in edit mode. And now we're going to press the E key to extrude out, edges only. Press the S key to scale. And drag it out a little bit. Now we know that Uranus has 13 rings, but they're formed in 5 different sections. So we're only going to make actually 5 rings for Uranus. Alright, I'm going to Alt-Shift, right-click on the center so that I can scale the whole thing in a little bit more. Alright, A to deselect all. Actually, I want to have all selected, so I'm going to press A. Shift D to duplicate. Right-click to drop it. Scale it up a little bit. So that's 2. Shift D to duplicate. Right-click to drop it. Scale it up a little bit. Shift D to duplicate. Right click to drop it. Scale it up. Shift D. Right click. Scale up. Now we have 5 rings. I'm going to rotate mine a little bit. Each ring. So I'm going to Alt right click. Shift Alt right click. Rotate that one. Alt right click, Shift Alt right click, rotate a little bit, Alt right click, Shift Alt right click. Right. For time's sake, I'm just going to leave mine basic for now. Keep in mind, you guys can make yours however you want, of course. I'll modify mine later on, but I don't want this section of the tutorial to take too long. Alright, so we're going to right click over Neptune, left click, I'm sorry, to drag our cursor there. Okay. And I believe that Neptune has the 4 really thin rings, or Uranus has the 4 really thin rings, but since I already gave Uranus those rings, I'm just going to give Neptune the thin rings. And like I said, I'm going to modify mine later. So if you guys want, feel free to Google on the planets and, do a little more research on the rings of the planets and stuff like that to see what you can come up with. Alright, make sure you're out of edit mode so that the rings aren't connected, because if you're in edit mode, when you add the new set of circle, it's going to be connected to these rings over here, and we want them all to be on separate rings. So go ahead and press the 7 button. Add mesh circle. Okay. Scale that one in a little bit. And edit mode by pressing tab. Extrude. Only edges. Scale. Alright. A to deselect all. A again to select all. Shift D to duplicate. Right click. Scale. Alright. Shift D. Right click, scale. Alright. And one more. Shift D, right click, scale. Okay. And now we're going to go out of edit mode by pressing tab. Pan by shift, center click, and drag down to Jupiter. Alright. Space add mesh circle. Okay, and you notice you don't see it. That's because the planet is so big. So just press the S button to scale and drag it out a little bit. Alright, Jupiter has 4 rings, and Neptune has 3 segments. So what we're going to do is make a little modification. We're just going to grab this, bring it over here, left click on these rings over here, grab them and bring them over here. You can grab by pressing G, set them down right here by left clicking, S to scale, and scale them up until they fit the planet. Right, so we have 4 rings, and we just need to set them outside of Jupiter. Maybe a little hard to find your other ring with the map there. So if you click your center button and drag it a little bit, you'll see that it'll appear a lot better. All right, go back to top view, grab with a G, bring it over here, and we're going to S to scale this one down. All right, and Neptune has 3 segments of rings. So it's going to scale that one, go into edit mode, scale, E to extrude, scale up, deselect all, select all with A, Shift D, right click, scale, Shift D, right click, scale. Alright. Now we have our 4 rings on our 4 planets. With Jupiter, I like the tilt. So before we end the tutorial, if you'll go ahead and right click on the Jupiter rings, go to front view, and you can press the 6 key to pan off to the right, and then you can rotate that one to make the rings face that way, if you want to, of course. Alright, well, that's pretty much it for our ring tutorial, guys. Like I said, on my own time, I'm going to make some modifications to these rings, so you guys feel free to do so as well. I'm going to look up the planets and try to make them look a little more realistic. In the next tutorial, we're going to go over actually putting the textures on these planets, like the Earth, make all the texture maps and stuff like that. And then I think actually in this tutorial, we're going to try and texture the rings as well for our planets, so that everything can look more realistic. And after we get everything textured, we're going to go ahead and animate it. So guys, fix your rings up, make them look nice and neat or whatever. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to shoot me a message on YouTube. And until next time, just remember to have fun.